So why is it that some students who spend years in tutoring still struggle to finish their exams on time? They know the content, they practice endlessly, yet when the clock starts ticking, panic sets in and questions go unanswered. My name is John and I'm the founder of Biggest Academy. For the past 10 years, my team and I have helped students reach their academic goals through online one-on-one tutoring. But one thing I've consistently noticed, even among top performing students that are with us, is that time management can't be necessarily taught in a tutoring session. And that's what we're going to explore today. Why tutoring often falls short when it comes to improving specifically only time management, what students can do instead, and how structured time practice, not just guided lessons, can make a real difference on the actual exam day. Inherently, time management is up to the student to implement. Rather than teaching a concept or going through practice questions, they need to actively apply it in all scenarios throughout the entire exam. You can't just manage your time on a certain section or easier questions, otherwise it will undoubtedly lead to other sections or questions being neglected and having less time. A tutor, by definition, can assist with a tutorial on how it can be improved in many ways. They can go through different scenarios, make questions more efficient to solve, but ultimately, it is up to the student to manage their own time accordingly on the exam day. When a student is going through questions with a tutor, they're able to get guided assistance. This is not really the case for group tutoring, but for personal one-on-one tutoring, this is often the main objective of why you even get tutoring with a one-on-one tutor. In the actual exam though, this could lead to a few things going outside the window, especially in a higher pressure situation. It can lead to them forgetting things or to not managing time appropriately. Time management is ultimately self-regulation, essentially noticing you're stuck, making yourself move on, and managing your nerves appropriately. Tutoring can help model this, but the student has to own it in the moment by applying it. If they lack self-awareness or discipline or the necessary practice, no amount of tutoring tips can magically transfer. Beyond just in a class, which can be guided assistance, that's tailored for what they might be looking for. Even in one-on-one classes, if questions are never timed, even really close to the actual exam date, that means a student has not been able to mimic that time pressure scenario before. Relying on tutoring alone can be difficult unless they go through programs like STDC or our version of it with the Selective Horizon program, which we're also going to be running next year. We are running the Selective 2026 Horizon program, which is a completely free 10-week program where students will do all 4 exams of the selective exam each and every week throughout the entire 10-week period. Scores are provided immediately after completing each and every exam, and weekly rankings are provided on an Excel sheet. We'll then start from early February 2026 to April 2026. Again, it is free for students in Year 6 who are serious about preparing for the exam, so only sign up if you commit to the entire 10 weeks. Any students who don't do the test each week will be kicked off the program so we can save a spot for someone else. This is for the Year 7 entry exam, so only for students in Year 6 next year. Although besides this, there are also some other testing platforms that you might want to practice with, where students can get full practice exams to work with. The reason why is because in tutoring, it will be very rare for them to do a complete 40-minute exam and the teacher just sits there and watches them do it without saying or doing anything. It is not the best use of their time, and most parents and students would much rather have guided support from a professional during the class as opposed to doing full-fledged exams and just watching them do it. If a tutor does not say anything, it just gets them to do these exams, honestly is not much value. They can do the test in their own time. The only exceptions to this is when there's a really big issue and they're actively working on time management, which is why certain sections of the exam could be timed so they can deliberately see which areas that the student struggles in. But personally, I don't think a tutor should be doing full exams and just watching them do it. I know it's quite common for programs in group tutoring, but very rare in private tutoring for this to occur, in my own experience. In tutoring, students often aim to get it right, not get it done efficiently. The goal is accuracy when a student and a teacher nearby encourages them with the necessary corrections. In an exam, the efficiency matters more than perfection, but the mindset isn't natural. Tutoring can unintentionally reinforce thoroughness over speed, which can backfire under strict time. Getting questions correct and adjusting the way students solve questions is important. This is what we do in our classes as well. However, when you're managing your time, if students establish getting it correct is the habit or they're used to it, not being the most efficient with their time, it can be quite hard to break. In addition, time management isn't just about knowing strategies, like skipping the hard questions and focusing on the easy ones and moving on. It's about forming the habits of applying them automatically. Students may nod and agree in class when told to move on with the guidance of a tutor, but in the test, if they revert to their comfort zone by overthinking, rewriting, or just freezing without enough habit-forming exposure to strict conditions, tutoring alone, if it's in a very rigid format, will find it very difficult to break these instincts for a student, especially if they haven't been applying it in these scenarios. For others though, they're able to be more flexible and adaptable, but it can be quite difficult at times. Considering they might only have a few hours of tutoring a week, a lot of their practice is through the homework and question books, which is largely going to determine whether these habits are going to change for them and to what extent. Let's say we do 4 hours of tutoring with the student, and now for each subject on the selective high school exam that they're going to be doing next year: reading, writing, maths, and thinking skills. There are still 164 hours in a week that the student has outside of these classes, so relying on tutoring alone to focus on time management can be quite tricky and unreasonable. People expect the tutor or people attending tutoring class to solve too many issues at once, but honestly, every student is different. Some students may be weaker in time management because they've established bad habits in an actual exam in the past, or perhaps they don't know how to solve a question efficiently, so they dedicate way too much time on it and they're focused on getting it correct when it is sometimes in their best interest to move on after spending a minute or two. These are not easy problems to resolve quickly, especially if the student is facing more than one issue and they haven't addressed it for a longer period of time. For example, if a student has very poor vocabulary, so they can't solve questions easily as they don't know half the meaning of the words in a text or a question in the reading exam, we just can't get them to memorize 30 words or 40 words and assume that problem will be fixed like that. This is an example where we at Bing's Academy may give them a weekly spelling worksheet and 20 or so words for them to remember. This will mean 100 words that the students can revise in a given month if they improve their vocabulary and know the meaning of how to spell those words, or over 1,000 words in a year. This is likely going to help, but it naturally takes time and effort for the student. Hopefully that's a pretty good example that helps illustrate why tutoring alone is, in my opinion, not enough to fully improve a student's time management, especially if you're looking for quick fixes. If you can't do it for vocabulary, similar things can be applied for time management. Some quick ways to improve your time management though is by doing timed exams closer to the test. Homework can be timed, etc. If the questions in terms of accuracy is too low and we are sacrificing quality just to get the questions correct, it may be worth it to just guess if it's not the writing exam, which can't be guessed. For any questions that are not attempted, or I'll put markings on the paper so you know which questions to revisit should you have extra time at the end of the exam. Students are given a piece of paper for the New South Wales selective exam, so you can actually just write down and jot down the information that you wanted to revisit, even though the tests are now done online on a computer. That could be a signal for them to revisit certain questions that they found troubling, that they spend too much time on, or they're not entirely sure. Overall, I believe time management is an important skill that needs to be applied, but it's very difficult for tutoring alone to assist here. I've gone through some examples that I think helps illustrate this, and this comes from my own personal experience as well as the experience when speaking to lots of parents and students preparing for multiple different exams. There's a few ways that we assist with this in our own parts, but if there's anything that I missed, please put it down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.